This book wasn't as funny as the previous books, but it was really interesting and it was really enjoyable and it had a really good mystery to it. And it didn't even start with a murder, it had this investigation of this old house with secret passageways. And it was like a castle and it was really old and it had an attic full of documents and books and oh, just wouldn't you want to go into one of those places and go searching? Oh, think of all the treasures, all the documents, even newspapers. Ah, old pictures and photos and birth records and death records and newspapers and clothing and oh, just so much good stuff. So, I think this is book 23. Don't quote me on that. I will check it. My apologies for not checking sooner. And welcome to the D. Louise book series. I'm Christina, Kristina. This is where we read books, talk about books. There's no theme music going on here, no theatrics, whatever. And my co-host is back. Swamp Spirits, Jana Deleon, A Fortune Mystery. And she's going off. Every single time I make a video, she goes off. She doesn't even tell time anymore. Bon, 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 bon. So 6. She thinks 6. So how you doing today, Casanova? I could use the like and subscribes. I'm not doing very well in that category. I'm hoping for 200 by St. Patrick's Day. Probably won't happen, but we can hope. And maybe 1,000 by Christmas. I know that would be a miracle. I've been at this a year and I've only not even got 200 yet. So, you know, anything could happen. But this was so interesting. And like I said, it's not as funny as the earlier books. It didn't have that make me go sit on the toilet to read the rest of the book. Because Fortune Teller, I think it's book 12 or 14, I don't remember now. But the one where they jumped out of the plane and Gertie's skydiving and she's losing control of her parachute and she floats down over a Catholic church and she tries to grab on a nun to anchor herself and pulls the nun's habit off and reveals that she's wearing a Rolling Stone t-shirt with the big tongue on it. I mean, come on. This stuff is so funny. We do have Gertie, though, on a stripper pole, so that's kind of funny, too. But this is different. It's so, most of the book is really straight, and it is so good. And I just want to go in that house, and I want to search that house. I'm like Ronald. Ronald is her neighbor, and I guess I should back up just a tad bit. We don't need too much of it because there isn't very many players in this book. We don't have a normal sinful thing. We have Fortune, who is a former CIA agent who was hiding out in Simba because there was a price on her head, but that story was resolved quite a few books ago. So now she's working as a private investigator with Swamp Team 3 with Gertie and Ida Bell as her cohorts. Oh, here comes the other co-host. And Carter LeBlanc is the deputy sheriff, and he's also her love interest. Ida Bell is married to Walter, the general store clerk, and then we have Gertie, our comic relief, whose boyfriend is Jim. And Allie is her best friend, Fortune's best friend, or everybody's best friend, and she's dating Manny, who is working with the Herberts, and we'll get a little background on those, but they're really not the main players. They do supply some very, very pertinent and important information, but we really don't see them. You know, one of my authors says, if it happens on the page, if Johnny and Jane meet and they sit down and talk, blah, 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 then that's on stage. But if Johnny says, I heard from Susan last week, that's something that happened off stage. And the Herberts are off stage. They call and or they tell Manny, and Manny reports back. Manny's on stage. The Herberts said this, or my sources said this. So there's, off stage and on stage. So that, and then we have two new characters who've appeared occasionally, mostly off stage. But we have two new characters that will might be regulars. Fortune's former partner with the CIA has also decided to retire, and his wife Cassidy is an ER doctor, and she wants to. She got a job in Sinsville's hospital, and they want to set up an establishment to handle handicapped children and horses and a little school. And this property is huge, like 20 acres. The house has like 10 or 11 bedrooms, and they all got suites and 3 or 4 dining rooms. Like it was explained that like the front room is where you greet the public, and then like the second room is where you greet closer friends, and the third room is for in family only, family members only. So it has all these areas to go, and they have the stables and barnyards, and oh, it's so gorgeous. And I just want to go there. I just want to see it. I just want to investigate it. Don't you want to investigate it? So anyway, so Fortune, her former Ben Harrison, her former CIA partner's fiance Cassidy, decide to leave DC and move into the Louisiana Bayous. They've already secured jobs and are only lacking a place to live. So everyone excited when they quickly find a home, but discover that it's haunted because it was owned previously by some voodoo loving people. But anyway, so just a little bit of the introduction. Ronald, Ida Bell, Gertie, and I were enjoying an afternoon in my hot tub along with a round of frozen margaritas when my former CIA partner Ben Harrison rounded the corner of my house, tugging his fiancée Cassidy Williams as fast as her short legs could manage. He had that look I'd seen so many times when we'd done a mission together, part intensity, part excitement. Who'd you kill? I asked as he approached. He frowned for a moment, then grinned. Oh, yeah, old times, right? No one today, and I'm really hoping no one anytime soon. You haven't been here a month, Ida Bell said. Give it time. Or we could introduce you to Celia and cut that down some, Gertie said. Celia, Ida Bell, there's 2 religious groups in town. Well, all right, pretend religious groups in town. Ida Bell is in charge or president of the Sinful Ladies. And so they have their organization, the Baptists. And then Celia Arsenault is president of God's Wives. And their main thing is to do battle over Francine's banana pudding on Sundays. But anyways, so that's what that references to. Who's Celia? Cassidy asked. Our nemesis. She's that bad guy on every sitcom, Ida Bell said, who's constantly trying to get one over on the hero, but just ends up showing her butt instead. Gertie grinned, and she means that butt part literally. Harrison grimaced. Yeah, YouTube is filled with Celia's butt shots. That woman should really stick to pants. We all nodded. He gazed around, then checked his watch. Is this really what you guys do on a Tuesday at 2 p.m.? I thought you were PIs. Well, one of you anyway. Hey, it's a chilly 62 degrees, and we had leftover margarita from the holidays. Frozen drinks don't get warm in here like beer does. We're just not drinking the beer fast enough, Harrison said. But still, Hot Tub Tuesday? In their defense, they did catch a murderer a few weeks ago, Ronald said. Saved a father and daughter from prison, Ida Bell said. Prompted an engagement and cleared the way for a woman and her disabled daughter to land a serious money deal with a television producer. And I had to wear a dress, I said. An itchy, tight, uncomfortable dress and a padded bra. How long were you going to milk that whole queen thing? Gertie asked. The whole month of January, she said. And she did. She had to do the beauty pageant. So I just lost my spot. It sounds like you earned the drink and more. Oh, there's more, Gertie said. We haven't even dipped into Nora's stuff yet. Who's Nora? Harrison asked. You don't want to know, I said. I mean, the less you know about Nora, the better. You're not put in the position of arresting beloved locals if you don't know what they're up to. But if you like sketchy middle-aged women hitting on you, look her up. I laughed. Carter crosses the street if she sees her coming. Harrison cringed. I'll take a pass on that. We all do, honey. So what's up? I know you didn't drag Cassidy across my backyard just to see what we were doing. And you have that look like you just assassinated a drug lord. The good old days, Harrison agreed, but not this time. We found a house. That was fast. Congratulations. Good for you. We all cheered at once, and Harrison beamed. Cassidy looked far excited. What is it? I was wondering why Cassidy wasn't as thrilled as my partner. Since Harrison would be serving multiple towns as a flexible deputy, he'd been trying to locate something central to all of them. No matter what, it wouldn't be too far from sinful because that was one of the towns that he'd been covering when needed. Cassidy, who was as smart as gorgeous, had put herself in medical school while working as a nurse in the ER. So they go on. They found a house that needs lots of upgrades. It's on the bayou, has 20 acres, room for Cassidy, horses, stable, training area. And it turns out that it's haunted. It's a haunted house, supposedly haunted. So we go and check out the house and learn the history of the house. That these French people bought this house. This French massively, massively rich guy bought this house, and he married this girl, and they had a child, and things didn't go so well between the husband and wife. He may have been cheating, may not have been cheating, and his wife was really depressed, being separated from her family, and she ended up maybe committing suicide, allegedly committing suicide. We do not know. This story is revealed at the end of the book, so you're not even led to believe it's allegedly, but I'm telling you it's allegedly. There's no proof until the end of the book of what really happened, but it's really interesting, so interesting. So they learn the story of what happened with the kid and the mother and the father's thing, and then the father ended up having a heart attack, and Gertie, Ida Bell has adopted a dog. I don't know if you remember in the last book, Scooter's dog had puppies, and I think it was not a greyhound, a wolf. No, it was a big dog. Trying to remember. Let's see. Oh, I shook my head and snagged a plate of cookies from the counter, then poured her coffee and set it all in front of her. In the meantime, Merlin had set up a ball. Merlin is her cat. Up a howl at the back door, then stormed in, apparently decided Gertie was eating. It was time for his breakfast as well. Between you and the cat, I'm never going to get a cup of coffee, I said, as I prepared Merlin's morning meal and placed it on the floor. Finally, I poured another for myself and figured since Ida Bell was on her way, I'd better make another pot because one cup was definitely not going to do it for me. I just scooping up the grounds when the front door opened again and I heard Ida Bell call out. In the kitchen, I yelled back and looked over at Gertie. You see, that is how you enter a house. Yes, that's how I used to enter my aunt's house. Hi, hello, we're here. It's just us. I heard scrambling on my hardwood floor that wasn't human and froze. A second later, a bloodhound puppy came bursting into the kitchen, took one look at Merlin at his bowl in the corner, and let out a growl before running that way. Gertie jumped up for her chair right as Ida Bell ran in the kitchen after the puppy. Merlin took one look at the charging hound and did one of those eject your seat moves, that only cats can perform and flew straight in the air. He clung to the curtains for half a second before doing a spring bounce, flinging himself completely sideways across the kitchen. Idabel ducked and he hit Gertie in the stomach, dug his claws in, then ran straight up her body and perched on her head. Gertie yelled as if she were being tortured, and as someone who had those claws across my forehead more than once, I couldn't blame her. She whirled around, her arms over her head, trying to pull Merlin off as you would a hat, but he wasn't budging. The puppy was jumping at her legs, making her dance even more. Ida Bell was scrambling for the puppy, who thought the entire thing was a game. Unable to think of anything else to do, I grabbed a pitcher of water from the refrigerator and threw every drop on them. At the same time, my back door opened and Carter flew in, pistol drawn. Merlin, seeing an open door, leaped Gertie's head to Ida Bell's, then did a rebound off Carter's chest before bouncing out the back door and slamming right into Ronald, who shrieked as though it ended times and discharged the pistol he was striding into a patio chair, sending stuffing flying everywhere, including back into my house. Merlin disappeared into the bushes, and I figured he was halfway to Mississippi. The puppy decided pursuit was too much effort and started drinking water off the floor. I took one look at my kitchen, which the housekeeper had just cleaned the day before, and threw my arms up. Why is everybody waving guns around here? She was screaming bloody murder, Carter said. I couldn't hear her. When I pulled my up in my boat, I mean, I get it. That cat was attached to her head, and I've been there before. But how was I supposed to know that until I got into the room? Ronald gave us all an exasperated look and pulled the sash on his tiny silver robe. When he said I lost my good slippers and my tiara coming through the bushes, if you're going to make this much racket so early, I'm going to start taking my coffee and the stereo out. This kind of stress is really bad for this kid. All right, take that back. It does have some funny moments. Ah, are we having a good time yet? Are we really? Are we having a good time? Do you know why I love these books so much? Because they make me laugh so much. And it has such a good mystery. So the Harrisons take over the house, and it's filled with antique furniture, and the paneling on the walls and the woodworking in the house is original, and all the artwork and all the silverware and the dishes, and the attic is full with all those documents. So juicy, just want to dig your hands in and just so much. So much. So then we have a second little incident that I will let you read for yourself. Apparently, Gertie's had a little bit of an accident on her stripper pole, and her boyfriend calls Fortune and Carter to take Gertie down off the stripper pole because she's hanging there upside down. And Francis, her bird, the cockatoo, who repeats everything that everyone says and was formerly lived with gangsters. So he says some pretty colorful stuff. It's just so much fun. So once we get through all of that, we have a mystery. Harrison calls her and says that Cassidy had an accident in the house. She hit her head. She'd fallen down the stairs because she thought she saw a ghost, somebody in a white sheet, but she couldn't tell because someone had turned the lights out. So they get a client agreement from Harrison so they can keep stuff confidential, and so that Carter doesn't have to reveal everything. So there's a lot of Carter in this. We usually see him a lot, but we see him extra a lot in here, and it's good. It's good to have your core group. It's basically Gertie, Idabel, and Fortune almost the entire book. It's just so awesome. And then you get Ronald in towards the end again with his expertise on art and stuff. It's just so much fun. Um, so Cassidy ends up in the hospital for 24 hours. So then um, Harrison has an estate issue with his apartment in DC, so he's got to go back to DC for 24 hours. So Fortune, Idabelle, and Gertie move in to the house with Rambo, the puppy, um, to guard Cassidy and to talk about intruders. And while they're there, some intruders show up. So they get some leads on that, and then the second night they set up cameras and they investigate more. They question more people related to the house, old servants. They question the real estate agents. They find all these people. It's so good. It's so multi-layered. It's such a good mystery. Um, the real estate angle is investigated, and they do. I really don't want to say too soon, but I will just say that it ends up they discover secret passages. Wouldn't I mean, like in the olden days when you hear mob people and stuff like that, they have secret passages in their house so that if the cops show up, they can sneak out the back, castles like that. This house is a few of them, several of them, running down and out to the ocean, running up into the attic to go in separate rooms. It's so much fun. I want to go explore this house so badly. It just sounds so interesting. You could spend years exploring this house, the way they talk about it, the way Jana talks about it. It's just so much fun. And while they're investigating a couple of days into it, and I would like to say the one thing this book does that some of the previous books have not done, it has a time lapse. This takes place over a couple of weeks. So there is a little bit of a time lapse, but it's okay. I like spending time with the characters themselves. I like getting character progression. I'm a character progression person, and I like to have characters grow from each book. And we're getting some growth in here. And there's a surprise cliffhanger ending that's just going to be like, if you're a reader of this book series and you've read them all, because you really need to start at the beginning and read them all and follow the story. We have some character angst that we're hoping for XYZ to happen. And the last two sentences of the book are like, here you go, bling, we're going to have something, bling, bling, be excited, be so excited, be so excited, it's going to happen, it's going to happen, it's going to happen. But you gotta wait till the next book. So, and while they're discovering the tunnels, they discover a dead body. And apparently, there's only very few people that know about these tunnels because the owners didn't know about the tunnels. Nobody knew about the tunnels except the people that were using them. So obviously, the person was killed by his cohorts. Maybe somebody got greedy. Maybe somebody, whatever the product is they were looking for and searching for, someone decided they wanted to keep it all from themselves. And apparently they had not found it yet, and we do not know if it will be found. I will leave that up to you when you read this book. But did you see that pussycat train that just went by here? Smoke, come here, come here, come here. It is so much. I really immensely enjoyed this book. So I can't wait to get to the next one. We're gonna stop and do we gotta do Patterson's and we got another Gilded Age book to go. But please check this out. It is so good. And like I said, you really need to read the series all the way through to appreciate the final two lines of this book. It's so freaking awesome. We've been waiting. It's a pet peeve of mine. I won't mention it because then that would give it away, and I don't want to give it away. So you're going to have to check it out. Oh, this is so awesome. It is so awesome. And I hope you have a good day. And I hope you hit my like and subscribe button. I could really use some subscribers. And if you're going to subscribe, could you stay subscribed for a while? Because every time I get one person subscribed, 5 people unsubscribe. And then I got to crawl back up. And it takes a really long time to crawl back up. So anyways, please hit the like and subscribe and let me know I'm doing a good job. Thank you.